Good Wednesday morning, fans. My name is Will Cottrey once again as the sideliner. I want to thank you guys for returning to my channel. Just like I said earlier, as you can see, like on my YouTube channel, I have like different logos that says the Sports Binge, but I'm currently in a rebranding process, so just bear with me. I may look a hot mess on my YouTube channel with like the banners and stuff, but it's just a process. I'm trying to return to my YouTube form. Just becoming a better content creator. So I just appreciate you bearing with me and just joining me on this journey to the top, so to speak. But yeah, once again, I just want to talk to you about some sports. Obviously, that's what my channel is for. Just really give my thoughtful opinions, my honest opinions. So, if you guys have any questions or comments, be sure to, first of all, like and subscribe to my channel. Then, of course, use the comment section whenever you please. So, but today I want to talk about real quick, Dwight Howard has been traded. Adrian Wojnarowski from ESPN reported that Dwight Howard, though the Charlotte Hornets had agreed to trade Dwight Howard to the Brooklyn Nets in exchange for Timofey Mozgov, 2 future second-round picks, and cash considerations, which sources told ESPN and Adrian Wojnarowski, NBA Insider, of course. So, I was just coming home, running some errands this morning. So as soon as I pulled back in my driveway, that's when I got the alert. So I said, about an hour and a half ago right now. So I said, I had to make this video real quick. So, I really want to share my thoughts on this. It's, I'm looking at this story. It said, I'm looking on my laptop, just disclaimer. It says Charlotte was determined to really move Dwight Howard's expiring $24 million contract to get off their hands. Which I understand, I understand like money, you have to be under the cap and you want to, just be cognizant of your financial spendings. But, I just can't, I fail to comprehend, why would you give up Dwight Howard, who was averaging yet another double-double last year, even though at this more of an advanced stage of his career. I just feel like he's a valuable enough asset to even keep on the roster, even with the expiring contract. I would have found, I understand, just trying to get rid of the contract. I just don't see the logic in that. I think that's huge for the Nets. I think they finessed the Hornets, in my opinion. Just really, get off on that foot. But like I said, the Hornets will receive the Nets' second-round pick, which is the 45th pick in this Thursday draft. So tomorrow's draft and the 2021 draft pick. So that's really what the compensation, the transactional information was. And but the biggest reason why I wanted to make this video, honestly, first off, to address obviously the news, the breaking news, so to speak. But then more so importantly, this is really just the continuation of what I consider like a huge demise in Dwight Howard's career. This was once a guy who was considered, who was the undisputed, the best center in the NBA for like a stretch in time. We're talking about, and I looked at the stats, career double-double guy, but from his prime, from what I consider his prime, from the 2007-2008 season to the 2011-2012 season, this guy averaged 21, 14, and 2.5 blocks a game throughout that stretch. And, this guy was a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. I think he was an 8-time All-Star. At his best, he was the best at his position, and it wasn't even close. And it was interesting that, it's really a shame how his career has, digressed, over the years, and how it's just, dwindled down. He just doesn't get the same reverence that he once did. But, also on this ESPN page, I want you guys to hear Jalen Rose's quick thoughts about it, about the contract situation. Hopefully the video plays. Just bear with me.
Dwight Howard is being traded to Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. The sneaky big news part of that. So he goes to Brooklyn, which is where he wanted to go originally when he left Orlando. We all saw that didn't work out. Correct. So all these years later, he goes back there. But what it means is that 2 years down the line, the Nets are going to have 2 max salary slots available. Is that a destination? Is that a place that stars are going to want to go to try and make it happen in Brooklyn?
New York City.
Right.
Right there.
Absolutely. Here's the thing that we're now seeing in today's landscape of the NBA. The super teams are here to stay. And so if you're an organization, you have to put yourself in a position to not only take advantage of that, but have two of them on your roster if you have an attraction like New York City. And if you're the Nets, you have nothing to lose in this dynamic. You're gaining Dwight Howard currently, but in the future, as you mentioned, you're trying to be a player.
Which we also now know, Chris Paul and everything, that these are conversations that are happening years in advance. So now that gets out, that we now know that in 2 years, Brooklyn will have 2 max openings. That's a big deal.
So that was Jalen Rose and Mike Greenberg and Michelle Beadle on ESPN's morning show Get Up. So really just obviously recapping the trade. Like the biggest thing that Jalen Rose said, it opens up the 2 max deals for the Brooklyn Nets in the future. So it's like the future is gradually becoming more bright than it once was after they just gave up all of the assets for to get the the last bit of the Boston's big 3 with KG and PR Pierce and the guys of that nature. But really just obviously like he said, the Nets have nothing to lose. You get Dwight Howard currently in the present day, and especially more so importantly, you build for the future. Yeah, he said another interesting tidbit, and I thought about it a little while ago, was that, he's finally going to, the good news for Dwight Howard, he's finally going to the Nets. That's where he wanted to go after he left the Orlando Magic. Bad news is he's past his prime, so he's not the same player, but it's another unfortunate tidbit right there, but it's just the reality of the situation. But yeah, going back to what I was saying earlier, that this guy, it's remarkable how quickly things change in your career. Once was the undisputed number 1 center in the game. He was in that perfect spot where he was coming after, he was up and coming right after the Shaqs and the Yao Mings, who were really at the tail end of their careers with injury and just old age. And he was right before guys like DeMarcus Cousins and your Andre Drummonds, Rudy Gobert, guys of that nature as well. Really just in that little pocket of time where he really dominated the league in his respective position. Yes, he did have Andrew Bynum. They were going neck and neck for the 2011-2012 season. Everybody was talking about who was the best. Shaquille O'Neal saying, "Oh, well, Andrew Bynum's the best center in the game," which I didn't consider to be true. But because I know Dwight Howard's been doing it a little longer than Andrew Bynum, even though I think Andrew Bynum was the more offensively sound and offensively gifted player than Dwight. Dwight was still the most accomplished and more productive, especially on both sides of the sport, being that it's a two-way sport. I feel like he was a far greater asset than Andrew Bynum, especially, of course, since Andrew Bynum was a injury-prone big. He was a liability as far as health-wise. And I always say, despite your talent, your greatest ability is your availability. At the end of the day, regardless of your gifts, your physical gifts, your potential, or whatever the case, wherever guys evaluate players with. That's what the huge thing about Dwight Howard, especially in the prime of his career. And then the thing is, even though Dwight wasn't as fully offensively developed as your Andrew Bynum's, he was still a highly productive player, a guy who could run the floor. There's really a gazelle running the floor. I don't say unicorn quite, because I feel like Shaq was a unicorn, being 7'1" and running the floor at his size in Orlando. But Dwight Howard's not too far behind as far as running the gazelle anyway. And that's what he was known for, his pure athleticism and his defensive prowess. Now, a lot of people say, his personality, his attitude later really caused his demise. But I think one of the biggest things, injuries caught up late. He relied on so much on his physical abilities, which you can't really completely fault an athlete for. If he has the gift, he's going to use that gift. It's just, you have to go with what's working. But because he didn't develop the same offensive game as the other guys would, he relied on the dunk, he relied on the high flying abilities, Superman for crying out loud, and ended up hurting him in a sense, because after spending your first half, pretty much most of your first half of your career in one team, he's been with 4 since 3 in the last 3 years, gone from Houston to Atlanta to now to the Nets, Charlotte and the Nets. it's really it's eye-opening. It's mind-boggling how his career has shifted so quickly in the last 5 to 6 or so years. But I will say, it's really, despite his demise, it's been such a joy and a privilege to watch him, because really he played with a lot of joy and like he really brought a lot of joy to the court when he was playing, at his best. So hopefully it works out for him. Hopefully he can still be somewhat productive. I feel like he still has like a good bit of basketball left in him, but it's just not quite the same, unfortunately. So let me know what you guys think about Dwight Howard. Like how will you remember Dwight Howard as a basketball player? Because I feel like he's a top person. I feel like he's a top 50 player in the history of the sport. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. I think just the resume speaks for itself. A lot of people may disagree, but whatever. I think his resume definitely speaks for itself. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. So I'm really interested to see like how will you remember Dwight Howard? What will your story be if your grandchildren ask you what do you know about Dwight Howard? How do you feel about Dwight Howard? What is the story that you would tell your loved ones down the line about Superman or D12, whoever you want to call him? But yeah, that's all I had. I just wanted to chime in real quick on that subject. I just feel like it was really pressing me to really do that, and I'm glad I took the time out to really address it, because this is a guy who I enjoyed playing, who I enjoyed watching playing throughout my lifetime. It was a joy to see. So, and I'm glad early on he did get his credit, but I feel like he should be more revered as a player throughout based on what he put on the court. So I just want to thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Sideliner. Obviously, I know it says Sports Binge on my profile pic, but like I said, I'm currently in the rebranding process, so I appreciate your patience, appreciate you sticking with me, and appreciate your support. So God bless you guys, and see you next time.